Welcome to this presentation. I will explain to you the secret language used by animals. Everything I will tell you is based on my personal experience and none of this is from any other source. Most likely you will never find this information in any ordinary book. This information is from my own experience, and my own conclusions. We all know that animals have instincts. And their instincts cause them to respond and react. But what are they responding or reacting to? They are able to see the other animal or a human, and hear any noise those can make. Did you ever wonder, is it everything that animals are able to sense? Would you be satisfied to live your life when you only able to see the other human and only hear their noises without any informative verbal language? So what else do animals able to use in order to communicate with each other? Before I tell you more, let me explain to you why animals make their standard noises, sounds and calls. Every noise the animal makes is usually an alarm or warning, and supposed to be understood by any other wild living creatures of that forest. Usually, animals do not make any significant noise, sound or call, if situation is okay and everything is at peace. Birds and animals who live in the trees are usually the first to let others know that there is danger in the area, such as a large predator. Birds always sound an alarm call that is understood by other animals who are on the ground. Let me tell you how animals learn what different sounds and calls in the forest mean. During all other times, when everything is at peace, birds produce songs that function just like news for animals, in the same way we would hear news on TV or radio. Predators produce their sounds to let other predators hear the borders of their hunting territory. Sometimes, predators produce special sounds requesting information about where to find sick animals to eat, or find abundant group of animals who are able to survive if some of their group members are eaten. Other animals often able to give a predator clear answer that helps. All wild animals understand their role in the wild. Animals who are often hunted by the predator do not get upset if they are captured as a meal. They understand their purpose in the cycles of life, and instantly accept their fate without judgments. If you watch nature documentaries, you will notice that if an animal is captured by the predator incorrectly, meaning that the predator had bitten them in a way that does not cause severe bleeding or death, the attacked animal will make noise about it. That is actually a complaint to tell the predator to kill properly and instantly, usually by biting and putting large pressure on the neck. Animals who often become food do know and accept the fact that they are food. And they do know that their remains will serve a purpose for smaller animals and insects to eat. And the rest of their remains will be good for plants. All wild animals learn about the cycles of life and death, and accept the way it is without regrets. I will talk about our domesticated animals and our pets in a moment. Let me tell you what else our furry friends use to communicate besides sounds and body language. I would like to tell you that I have no proof for something I am about to tell you, but I am sure that sophisticated equipment exists to prove it, but it is not available to the general public. Animals use special form of telepathy. They obviously never learn to create any written language. However, any brain that exists in nature is capable to send a signal. The more complex the brain, the more complex the signal. I am not a scientist, so for the sake of this presentation I am going to call such signal a biosignal or biomessage. It is completely new topic to explain what biosignals are in scientific terms. But I would like to tell you honestly that I have experienced them. And those biosignals came from the animals. To make it easy for you to imagine this. Imagine that any brain can function like a cell phone and can send sounds, small images, and special files, to any other receptive brain. From my personal experience, I have received such messages from animals. Wild and domesticated. Such biosignal usually may contain a sound, an image that is usually a small short animation, and biosignal can also contain a sample of a smell. Animals always exchange such messages on top of anything visible or audible that they can produce. Let me tell you examples. Medical professionals would call that hallucination, but I call their profession, the death party to drug the nation. I was sitting by my closed window and was watching a neighbor returning home with his dog on foot. As soon as they walked into their garage I smelled a strong smell of a car engine for a couple of seconds and an image of a moving dog's nose with a sniffing sound appeared in my imagination. The image reminded a small GIF animation, and you've probably seen such GIF images online. I quickly realized that it is not real, the room had normal smell, but this message came from that dog, from the neighbor's garage. The dog had to walk by that car in the garage all the time and perhaps wanted all others in the area to know that smelling that car got annoying. The other day I was in the forest preserve on my bicycle. I stopped to take a look at couple of deer who were very close to the bike path. I stood there wondering what do they eat except grass and leaves. The next thing I know, an animated image of some kind of berry appeared for a second in my mind. I have no clue what type of berry it was, but one of the deer was staring at me. I understood that deer got some kind of response from me and probably got curious about what I eat. I believe my brain did send him biosignal containing a tiny animation of my food with an attached biosignal of a smell of that food. Deer looked very curious. At some other time I went fishing for trout at a private trout pond. I was using fly fishing method by casting artificial fly at the end of my line. And I was wondering how does this trick is able to trick the fish. I was having no luck with this particular fake fly and was looking around to understand what insects are around, but all of a sudden one trout jumped out of the water and I received a small biosignal from that fish. Small GIF animation appeared in my mind for a second. It was some kind of insect. Such GIF animation was not crisp or of any high quality, but enough to identify the insect if you study them. I am not into insects, but I did my best to find similar artificial fly in my fishing box. And within a few minutes the fish was on the hook. I was wondering if it hurts too much to be on the hook, and once the fish was in my hand I received a biosignal from the fish. It was more like a signal of a feeling. It felt like a few spasms with a certain beat that came with it. And this is how I understood that a caught fish feels spasms, but is able to fight and some fighting beat is playing in its mind. On top of that the fish send me a biosignal that I cannot define as any computer file to give you an idea, but it meant that fish said eat me. I understood that fish is okay, and understands that they are food. My mother has a Yorkie dog and when the dog was still young it ran up to me when my father was not home and started to ask for something doing all kinds of body language gestures and sounds. I knew that dad secretly gives it some human food, and mom only uses specific dog food to feed him. I asked our Yorkie if he is going to show me what food he wants. As soon as I got up the Yorkie was already waiting by the refrigerator. Obviously, I found a lot of food in the fridge, but was not sure what he wants exactly. But Yorkie sent me a biosignal and I quickly recognized that as some strong salmon smell. I found the salmon spread and dog was turning very fast in circles in one spot when I got the package out. Here I must tell you the difference between wild and domesticated animals. Our pets and farm animals are genetically pre-programmed by their parents to see us as their masters. And their parents teach them via biomessages to rely on humans for food and shelter. Domesticated animals do not have their wild skills because their parents never had them and could only send them biosignals about what they have encountered in their own life. In order to make domesticated animal wild again, it has to be placed with wild parents right after birth so they could send it wild information via biomessages. I do live in a big city, but there is a small farm in one suburb that is more like a historic museum. I was driving near and noticed cows that were not far from the road. I stopped and was wondering what are those cows are thinking, and why they serve humans. And shortly after I received a biomessage and one of the cows made a long and rare sound. The biomessage was more like a playback of a human voice. It said they milking us. Not themselves. At this moment I realized that any domesticated animal does learn certain words and phrases they hear from humans, and sooner or later those phrases begin to make sense to them. But in this case the cow put this voice biomessage together from memory knowing what it means. It did not seem that the cow was upset, but probably not sure why humans milk her instead of their own kind. The other day I was in a forest preserve where I have never been before, and to my surprise I found a large cage they had for a huge owl. I did think right away that it is a torture for a bird to be locked up like that. The owl was awakened when I got closer to take a look. It made few moves and in few seconds I received a small animated biosignal into my mind. It looked like a flight through a dark forest between the trees at night. I am not sure what biosignal the owl received from me, but the message I got was clearly showing what this bird is really thinking about. The other time I did have a specific aquarium fish in my tank. The temperature dropped. And when I was walking near the tank the fish sent me a biosignal. The message was a combination of cold sensation and a smell of some particular fish food. I was not sure what fish food it was but decided to get a couple more types of food. And I did understand that I do need to get a heater for the aquarium. On some other day a squirrel came all the way to my closed window. It is not a wild squirrel, but more like back alley squirrel, and probably was born in town and not in the forest. It was winter. The squirrel gave me this peculiar look and turned in one place and looked at me again. At this time I simply asked the squirrel what does it want. The biomessage meant something like cold and hunger. I assume that wild animals who live near humans on the farm, in the park, backyard or in an alley, do remember certain phrases they hear from people, and looks like sometimes trying to use them. But most people do not have abilities in their mind to interpret animal signals. I went to the balcony and left some peanut butter there. I do know a place around here, where they keep horses for lessons and rent places for horse owners to keep their horse there. They do allow to feed school horses if you buy a snack from their shop. I went to feed a few of them. At some point when I was about to return, I passed near a female horse named Lily and she sent me a bio message that was a smell of my cologne, and additional message that meant that it was strong. And horse did some move that was as if she wanted to sneeze. I visited a good pet store once. And there was a huge parrot there. A few of them actually. I tried to say something out loud to one of them, but in return he turned around and I got a bio message from that bird that meant something like "do not talk to me. I am hurt." I guess that parrot heard a lot of things from humans by now. The other parrot looked at me in a peculiar way and his message was something like "I am not supposed to be here." I went to the mall one day and someone there had this huge python for visitors to take pictures with. The bio message that I got from python was the sound of loud noise that was similar to what that mall sounded like. I understood that the snake really hates the noise there and wanted me to know that. I went to a local zoo and when I got to the place to see the rhino I realized it is not there and inside. I started to wonder what is going on and soon received a bio signal from the rhino, and it was a signal of smell for a second and it did smell like some medicine. I assumed that rhino was inside getting treated by the vet. I did have a number of such occurrences and it will be interesting to communicate with some other animals. Our pets do get bio messages from their owners and other people, and always trying to decode them. This is how guard dogs always know for sure if intruder hides bad intentions. But very few people are able to receive messages back. My assumption is that early humans were able to do so, and perhaps some old tribes that may still exist still do. Bio messages animals can send are any simplistic image like GIF file you can see online and it is usually animated. It can also be any sound they heard and want you to know about, can be a smell, or can be a feeling. I believe our pets able to receive bio messages about how we are feeling and this helps them to get into compassionate mood to help heal us, or play with us, or go outside with us. From my experience any animal who is able to keep eye contact is capable of understanding some human words, language and maybe some bio messages that our brain automatically can send them. I believe any defined brain that exists on our planet can send and receive bio messages or signals via this telepathy that is similar to cell phone messages. But ordinary human mind had lost such ability due to the invention of spoken and written words, along with art, photography and computers. What I have said here probably would not surprise people 200 years ago. But modern people would love some proof. And I believe special scientists can prove it but withhold any findings from the general public. I think that dolphins and monkeys are able to send more specific bio messages, but I do not have them around to see what is possible. I was riding my bicycle from the park recently and noticed a bunny eating grass in one specific location and I was wondering why that rabbit stays in that particular location. The bio message I received from the rabbit was a combination of things that meant that grass is better there and nobody uses this sidewalk and there is somewhere to hide near the train. Insects send very simple bio messages, and as I found out this bio-signal language cannot hide anything. Perhaps it is the main reason human civilization had abandoned it sometime back in history. So now you know that animals have their instincts triggered by these bio messages and the sounds they make along with body language only create additional message when necessary. From what I understand, wild animals get bio messages from domesticated animals and humans, but such messages scare them or cause fear and confusion. Bio messages they have never seen can be recognized by wild animals as an alert or something undesirable, and their instinct trigger them to run away. This unusual experiences make me believe that animals who become parents, use this bio message ability to teach their young cubs for example, lessons, to make them understand certain principles to life they will need. Animal telepathy is an amazing system, and I think it runs in their minds without too much control from them to make sure that necessary messages are sent and received on time. I believe predators are able to send bio messages to all other animals that are requests for food, and bio messages they get back tell them where to find the next meal. In fact, I think that all species exchange information about helping each other to find food, but our pets get pissed off when they understand that the other pet gets better food. And it is your choice to believe me or not. But if you had a long and close relationship with an animal, then now you know what you should attempt to use when communicating with your favorite pet or other animal.